Welcome to a Community Partners interview, where we explore the organizations, opportunities, and resources that look to make change in our daily lives. I'm your host, Lilly Cereghini, and you're listening to Voices for Ability Radio, all abilities, all the time. Today, I'm joined by Alan Harman, the founder and president of Sunshine Therapy Dogs. Sunshine Therapy Dogs is a group of dog lovers who share a concern for those suffering from emotional and mental illnesses and loneliness. They believe that the company of dogs can help. Alan Harman, a lifelong dog owner and lover, and someone familiar with emotional distress, started Sunshine Therapy Dogs in 2020. Since then, Alan's dog, Tico, along with 500 other volunteer dog teams, have gotten belly rubs from students, seniors, and employees, and over 4,000 visits to the GTA, and are now offering services in Hamilton, Niagara, Halton, Durham, Guelph, York Region, London, Waterloo, and Peterborough. Thanks for joining us today, Alan.
Thanks for having me.
Alan, could you tell us a little bit more about you and what inspired you to establish Sunshine Therapy Dogs?
Sure. Well, like you said, I've been around dogs my whole life. My mom used to breed dogs when I was a kid as a hobby. So we always had a few dogs in the house. And then when I moved away from home, I got my first dog, a German Shepherd, and then have had dogs ever since then. And when I had kids, one of my children in particular was suffering from some emotional and anxiety issues. And I realized that our dog at the time was really useful to him. In fact, he would ask to borrow the dog on weekends when he was in a depressive state, and the dog was really, really helpful. And I guess I kind of already knew that. I'd read that or heard that, but then I experienced it firsthand. And around the same time, I was reading about the amount of mental illness, particularly amongst young adults. So when one of my kids was at university, that particular year, 6 students took their own lives at that particular university, and it kind of hit me in the face. And I just when I see things like that happen, I have trouble just ignoring them and tend to get involved. I'd already started a few other charities. I have a weakness for starting social enterprises when I see stuff like that happening. So I decided to start this charity and bring those two things together, hoping that having a dog around might help some people. Obviously, it's not for everybody, but might help some people that were struggling.
For sure. I would call that a strength for starting enterprises, not a weakness, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can help even one person away from a situation like that.
Yeah, well, my day job is in finance. I work on Bay Street, and I've been here over 30 years. And generally, what I'm doing is helping large individual investors and institutions make more money. And ultimately, I don't find that terribly rewarding. But what I do find incredibly rewarding is having even a small impact on the well-being of an individual, particularly one that's struggling. I really always feel bad about people that are struggling, particularly these days, where it just seems more and more in the zeitgeist is this idea of me first and the other is my enemy and all that kind of thing. I think it's nice to just particularly now to be a little bit more inclusive and think about other people that are struggling perhaps more than I am, for example.
Correct. I mean, we evolved together to socially get along. So the me first mentality doesn't work evolutionarily speaking.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I say exactly what you just said over and over again, and yes, I believe that. I mean, I just saw some research from Jonathan Haidt yesterday, his latest research on the impact of technology and social media on young people, like really young people, people under 10 years old. And it's devastating. And I don't know how you can read that and not feel that we have a huge problem. And I don't have the answer to big problems like that, but I do have this little tiny, tiny, tiny answer to a tiny group of people, hopefully. And so it's great.
For sure. It's better to try than not to try.
Yeah, and the other thing too is this particular charity is a little different than other volunteering situations that I've been in, whereby I always feel this awkward moral calculus around relative privilege, and with this dog charity, I don't. My volunteers don't feel that way, and I don't feel that way, and it's because I think it's because you, the dog owner, the handler of the dog, is are not directly involved in the transaction of love and help. It's the dog and the other individual, right? And you're just kind of a witness. You're there, but it's not you. And so I don't feel the same way I do when I'm doing other volunteer work, where it's me directly giving some money to someone in the street, or ladling some soup into a bowl at a soup kitchen or something like that, where I ultimately always feel a little bit awkward.
No, I mean, social awareness, right? You're cognizant of your own privilege,
Hmm.
which is a mixed blessing for sure.
Yeah, yeah, lucky to have it, but if you're a sensitive
Hmm.
person, it's also a bit of a bane.
For sure. I saw on your website that you have a research tab. What's under the research tab?
Well, the truth is, it's not great. Originally we had hoped to become a little bit of a warehouse for information around mental and emotional dis-ease. And so we put some stuff up there when we first started out, but I think it's dated. And one of my goals is to revamp that. For example, this Jonathan Haidt material that just came out yesterday. I think it was just yesterday. I just heard about it yesterday. It's very recent. I would like to have information like that up on the website. I think it gives us credibility. And we also want to train our volunteers a little bit. One of the pieces of feedback I've had from volunteers is they'd like to know a little bit more about the situations that they're entering into. And originally I thought, well, you have a dog and you've got a great dog and you've been through an assessment, your dog's been through an assessment, that's good enough. And what I'm hearing is they would like a little bit more, which is great. And so we're offering webinars now to our volunteers on dogs, for one thing, dog behavior, how to handle dogs, but also how to go into situations with just a very, very basic understanding of the environment you're going into, and things to, at the very least, avoid, and then take it from there. So that resources, that's what the original intent of that resources tab was for.
Okay, I see. Now, speaking of that, can all dogs be therapy dogs?
Yeah, they can, there's a lot of weirdness around the nomenclature in this industry. Service dogs, therapy dogs. A therapy dog, strictly speaking, I think is just a dog that provides therapy. And what we do is we just put the dogs through an assessment, and the assessment is carried out by a third party. It's a professional who we hire to do this. She doesn't have anything to do with our charity, and that way it's arm's length, and it feels objective, and she's a professional at it, and her whole thing is about the dog's well-being. Is this dog going to enjoy the experience of being in these situations or not? And once she's decided it has, then they pass the assessment, and then we also put them through a probationary visit where we go out with them just to make sure that in a specific visit environment, it's the dog seems happy, the volunteer seems happy, it seems appropriate, and all that sort of thing. Once that happens, they get their T-shirt, their little bandana, and they have to pass a police background check that the human does, and then they're
Mhm.
they're off to the races.
Spiffy. It almost sounds like dog guide training for the blind.
Oh, you know what? It's nothing like that. I mean, that is serious stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a whole nother thing. I mean, no, we are not that at all. We don't provide any training of the dogs. It's a self-selecting audience. So the people that apply to become volunteers with us,
Mhm.
they tend to be super nice people that are willing to offer their time, and they tend to have super nice dogs. Otherwise, they wouldn't apply. And then I would say three-quarters of them pass the assessment, and they're just good dogs. They're dogs that like to be petted. They're the types of dogs you walk up to in the street and pet, and love to be petted, love to be handled, but they're not trained to do anything. Guide dogs are a completely different situation.
Hmm. But most dogs want to please the people.
Well, they do, but one of the problems with guide dogs I found out firsthand, because one of our clients is visually impaired, and she lost her guide dog because it aged out. It got retired, and that was news to
Hmm.
me. I didn't know that happened, actually. I didn't know that the organization owns the dog and not the individual. And the poor woman was devastated. She had had this dog for, I think, 5 years, And then one day, the person from the organization came, as they did every year, I guess, to make sure the dog was still doing its job and happy doing it, and said, "Guess what? Tundra's not happy anymore, and we don't think that I can't remember if it's a male or female, continue doing this. You've got 5 days to say goodbye to your companion, your friend, your roommate. I mean, not just your eyes, but you're like this close sentient being." And the poor woman was
Hmm.
devastated, and that's why she called us, and I started visiting her actually because she's a neighbor, and then we started visiting her, and now she's got another dog. But what they said is when the dog actually wants to be petted and whatnot, then it's actually not doing its job. That's not its job. And so I think guide dogs are different, like completely different than what we're dealing with anyway.
Mm. I do know from firsthand experience because I'm visually impaired myself, and most of my friend circle are blind. It depends on the dog guide school, whether they take your dog away or not.
Okay.
The one where my friends go to in New York State, they do not do that ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that dog is yours.
Oh man. I mean, if it were me, that's what I would want.
Yeah, it is the best school in North America, I've heard.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is why they tend to go there. Even though it's a bit of a long way, but I mean, you have autonomy and your dog has autonomy and you can form a friendship like with your institution.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I can see both sides of this. I'm a suck for dogs. I would never ever want someone to take my dog away, no matter what. But I do get it, and particularly when they put it in terms of the dog's well-being. I mean, I have a lot of time for that argument too, and so I felt,
I do hear that.
yeah, I felt bad for everybody. I felt bad for the woman. I felt bad for the dog. Um, one thing I would love to do is, I don't know if this exists, but like a place where those dogs go after they've been retired. I mean, I'm not sure what happens to them. Do you know?
They tend to be sent to farms, actually, to people who breed them.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
They
it
wouldn't be bred
nice
that
life out
much.
in the country.
Yeah, but they'd be old or too old to breed, I would think, wouldn't they?
Yeah, that is true, but it's meant more of like a retirement living kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you one thing I would love to do is start an organization that took those dogs and put them into seniors facilities, because the seniors facilities that we go to, the people are so lonely and so starved for attention. And I don't understand why, if you had an older dog that just wanted some love and attention, didn't need to be walked a lot, it would be perfect for the dog, I think, to have all that attention. And it would be perfect for the people living there. And it'd be a well-behaved dog by definition if it had been a guide dog, right? So I just think that's an obvious connection that should be made.
Sounds about right to me.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's start.
Are there any restrictions to the services at Sunshine Therapy Dogs, such as the age, disability type, caregivers or family members only, that kind of thing?
In terms of the clients, no, we don't. No, we don't have any. We don't have any restrictions at all. Um, yeah, I mean, we go to classrooms that have a wide variety of special needs, and unless the dogs are being harmed, which is almost never ever happens. Um, we never say no. And along along the lines of visually impaired, we go to the Helen Keller Center up in North York, and I've been on that visit, and it's a super 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 awesome visit. I just love it up there. So
Mhm.
yeah, no, we'll go anywhere. We go to prisons, we hospitals, corporations, school, mostly schools, because my original intent was young adults that were suffering. But, once you hang out a shingle and people start calling, it's pretty hard to say no. And we do one-on-one visits. They're a little trickier because of safeguarding. 90% of our volunteers are female, and I would say at least half of them, if not more, feel uncomfortable going into someone's home. So we've struggled with that. We've had trouble really getting in front of individuals as much as I would like to have. I don't know how to get around that really.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, that would be difficult because, like, everybody's boundaries has to be considered here, of course.
Yeah, right. And so what we did was we said, well, first of all, a third party would like a third person present. So if there's a caregiver or a therapist or whatever, non-family member, or meet in a public space. But then when that didn't work, we said we were going to send two volunteers. So the volunteer with the dog and then another one for safeguarding purposes. But that's really wonky. I've been on some of those visits and they're not good because, two people show up at your door. It's kind of weird, right? So um, that hasn't worked. So we haven't come up with an elegant solution to this problem yet.
Sure that there could be one, but yeah, you'd have to brainstorm about that with your team.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, what we're doing is
Mm.
just sort of one case by case, and we're putting it in the volunteers' hands. Do you feel comfortable going in? And
Right.
if not, we'll ask the client if they can, meet at a park or provide a third party. And then if nothing else, then we'll send someone in. That's the way it's going.
Okay. I mean, that seems like a reasonable approach.
Yeah.
So, without using any names, can you share a success story with me? What kind of supports were put into place when people asked for them?
Um, well, I guess first I'll start by saying where we haven't been successful, which is what I just alluded to. I envisioned that 20-year-old, or 18-year-old first year university student who's just away from home for the first time, struggling for all kinds of reasons, and is literally suicidal. And I had this dream that for whatever reason, that person thought a dog might be helpful, or somebody in their life thought a dog would be helpful. A dog would show up and start hanging out with this person on a regular basis, and the person would get better enough that they walked back from the ledge. That has not happened at all. Unfortunately, I guess. What has happened and happens every day, we're doing about 150 visits a month in Toronto alone. And every single day we get people saying, you made my day. I've been looking forward to this all month. Now I can make it through the day. Now I can write my exam. Um, I haven't been to school in a month. I came today just to pet the dogs. So that type of a response we get like every single day. Um, an individual whose life been changed. I mean, I guess I could use the example of the visually impaired person that I was referring to. I got to know her a little bit because I went a couple of times with my dog, and then we sent a different volunteer in, and they became quite close friends. And she was really struggling with the loss of her guide dog because it was her limited family life and French circle. And so this dog was really, I think, really, really important in her life. And I think we filled that gap. And then when she did now recently get a new guide dog, and she reached out to us and said, "Can I still have play dates with what was our dog's name? It was Charlie. I think Charlie, a big Bernese Mountain Dog that she fell in love with eventually, one of our volunteers, dog."
Mm.
And so I don't know if that qualifies as a sex story, but it's kind of sweet, you know?
That's a success for
Yeah.
sure. For sure. I remember when I was a kid, my Auntie Elsa had a Great Pyrenees,
Oh, wow, nice.
huge
Mm,
animal. If it lay down on the floor, you would think she got a new shag rug.
right.
But the gentlest creature, the gentlest creature. It's often the big ones that are the nicest.
Yeah, when I started this charity, I had some biases against certain dogs. I'm a big dog person. I love big dogs. I grew up with German Shepherds, right? And I didn't really like
Mhm.
small, yet what I refer to as yappy dogs. But what I've found out is we have about 600 volunteers now. We probably have about 400 or 500 different types of dogs, and they're all lovely. And it's the seniors facilities, they love the animated small dogs, which I don't really love. And then we have these huge dogs that are just, I mean, I would think they'd be intimidating for some people, like the one you're referring to, a Great Pyrenees. And students, for example, love them. We have one that's a husky, part wolf. One of our very first dogs out in the annex, and the owner is a student at U of T. And I literally thought, oh man, this dog, he kind of scares me. He looks kind of scary. Looks like a wolf, and this is not going to work. He's turned out to be one of our superstars. The students at U of T, they keep asking over and over again for him to come back, and they adore him. And so, yeah, you're right. Big dogs, but even small dogs, and everything in between.
Mhm. Cards on the table, Huskies are my favorite breed.
Oh,
And crossbreed that with a wolf, that's going to be even better because all dogs are bred down from wolves in the first place.
yep,
So you're just going back up the evolutionary chain.
yeah.
That
I
would that would be a beautiful dog.
Me, I agree 100%. I agree 100%. And my dog, I think Has some husky in him. But he's a rescue, so I don't know exactly. But his tail's up. He's got some attributes of a husky. He's super strong, big. He's a mid-sized dog, but super strong, broad-chested, and I suspect he's got some husky in him.
Yay.
Yeah, exactly.
Are there any events coming up for Sunshine Therapy Dogs?
Well, we have visits every day. I mean, we like I said, we're doing 150 a month in Toronto. So every single day we're in a school somewhere, we're in a seniors facility somewhere, we're at a social agency somewhere. Usually all of the above. On weekends, we're in a lot of seniors facilities. We do assessments where we're running new dogs through to get them assessed. We have one coming up next Saturday, the 31st in Toronto, and then the weekend after, whatever that day is, the Saturday after in Mississauga, we have an assessment. Um, we're part of some corporate wellness day thing in Guelph coming up in a few weeks. Yeah, we've always got a lot going on.
Hmm. Sounds busy. I mean, when you're always getting new recruits.
hmm Yeah, no, it's great. It's growing organically. We're getting enough new volunteers in to meet the demand of new clients, and we hardly ever have to say no so far. Like I said, the one weakness I think in what we're doing is we haven't got to that original, very, very, very narrow demographic that I was looking at. The individual visits aren't. We have a waiting list of about 100 people, and we're just struggling getting volunteers that are keen on doing those one-on-one visits.
Yeah,
So if
I
you
can
know
see that
anyone,
happening. I'm not in the GTA, but I mean, I am in London, so I don't know.
well,
I
we're
could
in
probably
London.
look
We're in
out for
London.
it.
We need volunteers in London. We're in London. We need you.
Yeah, that's true. You totally are here. I forgot.
Yeah, yeah. We have I don't know 50. We have one cohort there, so we did one cohort. So I think we have 13 or 14 volunteer dog teams. We go to Western, fairly regularly, the university,
Hmm.
and a few other places. But I'm sure that we could use your help.
But yeah, no, I was there at King's actually one day for a doggy day.
Oh,
They brought him to King's University. It's a cohort of Western, like it's an affiliate.
oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. And I graduated out of King's.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with the
Yeah.
colleges down there, but um, King sounds good.
It was a good university. I really liked my time there.
Yeah.
Um, what is the one thing that you see happening over and over again to individuals with disabilities that shouldn't be? And how do you think we stop it?
Hold on. Can you repeat that question?
What is the one thing that you see happening over and over again to individuals with disabilities that shouldn't be? And how do you think we stop it?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not really an expert in uh, people with disabilities. But what I do is spend a fair bit of time watching dogs interact with people with special needs. And um, all I can say is I just think it's absolutely lovely. And of course, I have a bias, but in this particular case, I don't. I think it's lovely. I had one of my best visits ever. I've been on over 200 visits with my dog Tico, and 3 weeks ago, I ended up at a social agency up in Concord, and it was adults with special needs, and in particular, there were a couple of people with Down syndrome, and at least one with autism, they were lying with Tico, and uh, just the love was so profound. It literally brought a tear to my eye. So all I can say is, from my experience, having dogs together with people with disabilities is a really beautiful thing.
Friendship is a fundamental human need. And even if it comes from animals,
Yeah,
you know? I
yeah,
mean, we did evolve together, humans and dogs.
yeah. It's just like when I'm at the Helen Keller Center, the way that the people there were touching the dog was complete. Well, for me, it was different than how able-bodied people would touch my dog, and
Hmm.
it was just the way they were using their hands. It was very beautiful. It was very beautiful, and I absolutely believe that the dogs know that. My dog knew that, and they've done MRIs on dogs' brains. The dogs' brains light up the same happiness places in the dog's brain light up as in the humans. And so I think that my dog got a particular benefit from that visit as well. And this place in Concord that I was at a few weeks ago, same thing. I mean, there was this deep connection between this one person in particular and Tico, and I think he got it too.
For sure, for sure. And I mean, they're so gentle. When my sister had babies, she also had a dog, Portuguese water dog, and I loved that dog. And when my eldest niece was like just a little baby, Ruby, the dog, actually stepped on her accidentally. She's just crawling on the floor, and she's like, "Oh, I don't even care," But they grew up together, kind of.
Yeah.
It's the great kind of dynamic and relationship.
Yeah, I agree. I love it. I love it.
Mm.
Congratulations on the work that you guys do. It's wonderful
Oh,
to have services like yours.
well, thank you. Now, if someone wanted to become a member or a volunteer with Sunshine Therapy Dogs, what's the process for doing that?
Just reach out to us, send us an email. The website's sunshinetherapydogs.ca, the way it sounds, and send us an email. We have a fantastic executive director. She responds very, very quickly and can facilitate, you on, joining us.
Nice. That's easy.
Mhm.
What's the one thing that everybody needs to know about the Sunshine Therapy Dogs?
Um, well, the therapeutic benefit of having a dog, the company of a dog, for those that are looking for therapy or that are struggling and not sure what to do. I mean, consider a dog. Consider having a dog visit you. You never know; it might be helpful. And for people that have dogs, um, try to make the time in your life to do volunteer work, to reach out, to help others. And one way you can do it is with your dog. So, um, for both of those audiences, I think we're an appropriate place. We're very, very volunteer friendly and very, very client friendly. We're small, so it's got that small charity ethos. It's not some big factory. We're real human beings. There's no bots. So
Exactly. Exactly. Give me flesh and blood.
I'm gonna have to run, Lily. I'm afraid I've got a meeting I've got to be in a
All
couple minutes.
right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you guys for the work you do. Take care. Have a nice day.
You too.
Bye bye.
You've been listening to a Community Partners interview on Voices for Ability Radio. I'm your host, Lilly Cereghini. And remember, folks, stick together because we're all in this together.